work.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're just a tiny bit delayed in starting, but we're good. Yay, it's wonderful to see everybody. I know we have a couple people who will be joining in just a bit. So this is God Talk for Thursday, January 29th, and we're kind of doing a debriefing of our collective liberation retreat. So let's start with our icebreakers and our introductions, name, pronouns, and the answer to what is your favorite time of day. Um, some people are morning people, some people are more specific. So I'm gonna say I'm Carol, she, her, and I like the gloaming right about now here in New Mexico. Um, so how about you, Marco?
Okay, what good day? What good day, Michael?
Marco? Eh,
Yeah,
okay. What time of day do you like? Morning, night, middle of the night? What do you like?
God, I could go to bed. I could go to bed because
You like going to bed? I don't think I've ever heard you say that. You sure do seem to procrastinate a lot. I'm going to bed. But anyway, I like to hear that. Okay, we'll go in the order we signed on in. So George,
Okay, I'm George of the Jungle. I feel like I'm George of the Jungle sometimes. Um, I like early mornings, although I get up early, it doesn't mean that I want to, but I like early mornings because it's quiet and I get a lot done. And then I'm never, for some reason, I'm never bothered from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. So the rest of the day I am. It's like bam, 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 bam. So I like
oh,
the morning.
so you get up about the same time Gregor does. All
Yeah.
right, Lynn.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes three of us. I'm Lynn, she, her. I didn't like mornings. Never in 47 years of working 8 to 5. I never liked mornings. But now that I've retired and my body is still geared toward waking up and being at work, I like mornings. I like the quiet. I like it before anyone else wakes up. I like the dawn of the new day. I think that's my favorite.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and yeah, it's different when you don't have to get up and get in traffic or anything like that.
Right.
All right,
Right.
Gregor.
He, they. I also am a morning person, but what I call it the stillness. I like the stillness of the early morning hours because not a whole lot of creatures are stirring. And if I'm going to have an opportunity to spend a moment with the divine, it's going to be in the morning hours before all the noise starts, like George said, at around 8 o'clock. Well, in my case, things start to get crazy actually around 7 when people start IMing and pinging and, all emailing. So, yeah, I like the mornings. Hi, Leo and Jared.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi everybody.
I
Okay.
was just trying to figure out who's even running for the seat in the 18th district because I forgot that was coming up.
Yes.
Yes.
We
Suzette.
Hey guys, I'm Suzette, she, her, and my favorite time of the day is in the evening, right before the sun goes down. If you've seen my Facebook profile, you know I do my goat yard back 40 talks in the evenings, right before the sun goes down. So I'll sit there and with my goats. So thank you. I love that time. Not winter though, because it's dark too soon.
All right. Welcome, Jared and Leo, in from voting. So our question is your favorite time of day?
God, I'm making a cake.
uh,
Man,
go first.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Leo. Pronouns he, him. Favorite time of day would have to be the evenings because that's usually where I get to have dinner uh, with Jared and just either watch TV or just talk. Yeah.
Yes, mine too. Hi, my name is Jared. Pronouns any and all. And yes, my favorite time of the day is for the exact same reasons, right? Because we both work daytime shift, right? And so we get off at night, right? And then so it's the time we see each other. It's great. Love it.
That's beautiful, and that sounds like a really healthy relationship.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of love at all different times of day.
Yeah.
I don't like to get up in the middle of the night, but if I happen to be around in the middle of the night with the stars are shining and all of that, that's a beautiful time too.
Yeah.
Anyway, do y'all want to say anything about answer Krager's question about the vote before we?
Oh yeah, it was what was his name? I don't have my phone.
I have my phone.
Okay.
So we had
Amanda Edwards.
Yeah, Amanda Edwards and because Sylvester Turner it was Christian Menefee, right, to replace Sylvester Turner after he yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
the Democrats will retain that seat, or is it up in the air?
They're both Democratic candidates, but
Okay.
like you always want to pick a candidate that is more active, right? At least has more hopes of being active. So there is, right? Because like there's a lot of culpability in a lot of the Senate, for instance, with some Democratic people not voting the way that their constituents would like them to, and so you still have to be wary.
nice. Well, we're discussing the kind of a debriefing of our collective liberation retreat and some of the things that have happened since then. So George sent out a wonderful email just a little while ago about kind of a recap and some steps moving forward. I haven't had time to go through all of the components, but George, it looks very complete and beautiful. So I'd just like to hear some, just to start would anybody like to, George, you might be a good candidate for this since you just sent that email. Just say something for our audience that might not have attended the retreat. Just a little bit, just a kind of a little recap about what it was about and just some of the agenda highlights.
I think everybody here did attend though.
No, I mean people that are watching online later.
Oh, okay.
Upstairs.
You caught me by surprise. I enjoyed, although I wasn't able to, I was sitting to the food too, so that was distracting.
You don't have to answer this. I think other people would want to if you don't.
But I liked the little book. I thought it was very cute, and it's on the thing that Evangelist and Nicole, they put that together, and the little book was really kind of cute. That it had each section, and stuff that we could do, so we could follow. I thought that was kind of cool. So although I didn't fill everything out, but that was kind of cute about what was going on, and there was just a lot. There was just a lot. And we were able to, I think Suzette did record it. So if people could watch it, it would probably be pretty good because we had a lot of background stuff in the morning and what we were going to try to do. And then in the afternoon, we got to split up in groups. We got to talk more. We got to be more interactive. And I enjoyed that as well. I mean, I did enjoy the affinity group. We split up and were able to maybe be more reflective in there. And I don't know we felt safer or different because it's so strange for me to hear that the white folks had to go upstairs. I mean, that was just so strange for me to hear. White folks go
Okay,
upstairs.
okay,
So
okay.
I mean, I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, I didn't get to be watch all of it because I was attending to the food too. So, but other
Right.
people,
And
I know
so
Suzette has a lot to say.
clarify, just to clarify for our audience, the affinity groups were people of color and white people.
Yeah.
And a nice, a really nice explanation about why we would split up. And we also had a section in the afternoon where we talked about nonviolent communication. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Suzette?
Um, so I wish I don't know what I mean, I do know. I did not really feel prepared for an online experience. I don't I got feedback from one person that they felt marginalized because they didn't get this and that, and they didn't have what the people in person had. So it wasn't an equal experience. And I mean, just to be frank, I just don't feel like the moderators or the material was great, but I just feel like the Evangeline was not patient with me and trying to help me, get to where I could be so that you guys could see. And then, like, I wasn't included in any of the talks that happened ahead of time. And I realized that, maybe Taylor was, but he doesn't have the experience level to know how to put on a large event like that and have it be hybrid. So the hybrid thing was last minuted, and I didn't realize we had a upstairs downstairs thing happening. We could have had a second camera set up on the Zoom already sitting up there waiting instead of me running upstairs with my tripod trying to do this. It was just odd. I felt like, I mean, um, I don't want to say I felt like, because it's not a feeling, it's a fact that this was still not a prepared thing that we did, despite the fact that they've been meeting about it for quite some time. So,
I think Evangeline felt like she would have appreciated a lot more preparation time with the about what was happening with the cameras and the space and the ASL interpreter, et cetera, et
I
cetera.
got there like at 9 o'clock. I didn't know I was doing anything,
Oh, seriously?
really.
I think this might be out of line, but I think Ken takes a lot of ownership and he does not know what all
Yeah.
needs to be done, but this is just me, but he thinks he does. And
Yeah, he had a
collaboration should
camera
have been
set
with
up.
you and Ken and the I mean, they only had one ASL person there, and they wanted her to stay afterwards too to go to the I mean, she spent 9 hours there. I mean, that's pretty tough on one person. So,
And she has kids.
and she didn't know what she was supposed to do. I introduced her to the Evangeline. I mean, yeah, there could have been a lot more
Coordination between the movie
coordination
part.
going on.
But
And
I'm not being negative at all. I think
I'm
it's
not
a
trying to be either, but
majorly positive step that we are moving in the right direction and things like that. I just know that either I have to be more vocal or at least be more conscientious when I know something big's coming and I'm not involved. Like I'm not asked to be involved. So, and I'm not sure why. I think that they felt like they had put too much on my plate last year to when we split the jobs and, now Taylor's doing this and I'm doing that. So they're trying to minimize my on the clock experience, on the clock stuff with the church, which I get that, but I think I made it clear that they need to just talk to me about it, and if I need to push back on the hours or something, I can tell them, or it's just I'm willing to do more. I'm
Well,
willing to do
yeah, I
more.
thought I really appreciate the fact that we were able to do a hybrid thing, and yes, there were difficulties, but and I'm sorry that you weren't prepared. I wonder if we could kind of
I
segue.
mean, that morning I'm like, they're like, can you send this to the online people? And I'm like, what? And I just had no idea.
Oh,
And
wow,
I feel bad.
that's a
So
lot.
I
Well,
just wanted you to know that I wasn't asked to be a part of the conversations ahead of time.
wow.
And I appreciate the fact that they want to be sure that they're not abusing my time, which I think they felt like had been happening. But they should at least talk to me and say, this is really important. What do where this is what we
Okay.
want to do, and let me at least tell them what they need to do. And I agree that maybe that someone else with technical knowledge needs to get involved, because I'm doing a hybrid. I'm doing a hybrid Zoom for a conference at the church, and this is for me personal. I'm renting a gathering space, and
Okay.
so I need that to work, and so I'm going in Wednesday, 2 weeks before the conference, to work out all the kinks, and is that is not Ken's fault that he wasn't prepared. He didn't have enough time to prepare. He wasn't given enough information to properly prepare and practice, or get the setup done, make sure it worked, have people in a Zoom, that kind of thing. Thank you. Sorry, Carol.
Okay, we're
I
almost
mean, just
halfway on our
prioritize.
time already since we had a little
Sorry
delay
about that.
getting started. So I'd really like to say I want to have time to talk about the content, and I appreciate
Yeah,
everything you said, Suzette, and I appreciate everything you did to keep
it's not negative. It's
to keep
just
us
we need
connected.
more notice.
Yeah, there are things we could definitely do in the future, and that bears some looking at. But let's talk a little bit more about the content itself. Jared and Leo.
Yes. Um, I hope that we can all learn how to be more inclusive, uh, if anything, with this, because yesterday at the board meeting, one thing that they did say that Evangeline and Nicole said is uh, that the church is not communicating well, right? We failed to communicate well, and that we need to over communicate, because and this part they didn't say. I'm just saying that because I think as a whole, our church, we like to assume that, hey, because X, Y, and Z has this role, we just assume that they already know all the details. Yeah, but I think that, yeah, hopefully we can do a better job of that.
Right. And, like the inclusiveness of our, like the, like what you're describing actually, Suzette, is mirrored in a lot of the systems that really need to be revamped that and looked at, because we have, whenever you have like non-open meetings, right, with in these spaces with people in positions of power, right, and you don't and if they're not open for all the teams to consolidate information to add, or even just all of the staff, or really just all of the the congregation, right, to add and to give, there's not enough investment in the product, right, but two, and most importantly, these things get overlooked and they happen, and everyone is left squandering, figuring out what is where, what is who, which details came from which person at the last.
Our board needs education on technology. Our board needs education on how communication works in this day and time. Okay. It's not just email, and it is just email, but they don't know how our email system works. They don't know how to use it. They don't know what it's capable of. So our communication could be much better if they knew what it could do.
And they didn't share
Right.
that with the leaders, so they didn't have any way to contact people, beforehand or afterwards directly either. So,
But
okay. Sorry, Leo.
Yeah. Steps,
baby steps, just an example, like, and I hate that I always bring my relationship, but in like communication with like budgeting, talking about finances and all that, it took us years, and it's like one thing at a time, right? One thing at a time.
And it's stressful in the beginning, and it's like growing pains, right? Like it's stressful, it's hard. We used to, when we talked about finances, it would take us like an hour and a half to 2 hours just to pay one or two bills. Right? But now it's like quick and painless, right? And because we do it over time.
That's a beautiful example. Don't apologize.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and I think that's a wonderful way to think about it. Yeah, and a healthy relationship like y'all's is a great example, and we want that for our church. We want that. We want that kind of community, that kind of trust, that kind of building on. George?
I know we're so getting off the subject where you wanted to go, Carol, but communication. Suzette is great. I constantly, in some of the meetings I'm at, suggest Suzette. And I know roles have changed, but even myself, I mean, I know a lot of stuff. And I'm a good coordinator. But I'm not asked because I do a lot of stuff. But yet, on the other hand, I would be so willing to put stuff down so they would be ready for stuff, so this stuff wouldn't go on. But for the thing, I enjoyed this. This was hard. Remember, this was at the end. I thought it was difficult.
Was that the nonviolent communication that you just lifted up?
Yeah, and I thought, man, we need to spend more time on that. I really do.
I had talked at one point with Joseph about having a session on that, and stuff just kept coming up. We planned on having a session simply on nonviolent communication.
Yeah, because this doesn't come fluid to me.
Yeah, I thought it would come more naturally.
And it doesn't.
It was hard.
I think if we would do this, try to make a conscious effort to do this more, it would be great. And my favorite saying for the whole conference was, uncomfortable does not mean unsafe. Because sometimes if we get uncomfortable, we tend to run or hide or just say, I'm out of it. So I really like that. Uncomfortable does not mean unsafe. It means more communication. More communication. So that's my spiel.
I love that you brought that up. Yes, that's a beautiful quote, and I think in some of I've been doing so many groups on related things, like a class on decolonizing Christianity, and a refresher course on the guidelines, like the guidelines that we have in the chat, and I think that's one of the things that happens a lot, especially when we're talking across divides, like racial, like white and BIPOC people. The white people tend to use that as an excuse. It's like, well, I'm just not comfortable with that, or I would be much more comfortable if we did this. And so I love that you brought that up, George, because yeah, God didn't call us to be comfortable. I think that's a quote from, I think I've heard it
And
multiple times
we're
from
more
John
used to
Garcia most recently.
we're more used to not being uncomfortable. We're more used to being uncomfortable and not saying anything about it
Yeah,
because it happens to us all the time.
thank you. Yes. Okay, Kreger.
Okay, so I think I had some awareness of this in the morning session, but like when they were talking about, when you walk into a room, you walk into a classroom, or you go into a conversation, or you go into a board meeting, or you do this and that, you're bringing your mom, your dad, your grandparents, you're bringing all of that with you. And it was kind of, yeah, it was kind of like, yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. That's the thing, is that white people are bringing decades and hundreds of years of that white thing with them wherever they go. And I was supposed to get to speak on behalf of or to the white people and introduce the hello, my name is Craig and I'm a racist, but I didn't get to say that. They didn't let me talk. Once we got back downstairs and we joined the both rooms together, they didn't let me talk, and I'm not quite sure why, but maybe I guess I would have ruffled some feathers if I had said that, but I don't know.
It would have been great.
Yeah. Do you have it now, Craig?
What?
Because
Can you sum it up in a couple sentences?
People would have not expected you to say that.
Honesty.
My whole thing about it is that once you just say it, you can't start healing from it until you say it. And I just don't know how. I just think that part of being white, that there is just an inherent racism that goes on in the subconscious and everywhere else that you're not even specifically aware of. But instead of being defensive and going, oh, I'm not a racist, I never do anything. And just go, I'm white and I'm a racist, because you are.
Yeah, I think that's a very direct thing, and I love that you've brought it up in here multiple times, and I think that's very helpful. So oh, I just saw the comment about nonviolent communication. The which okay, I lost my train of thought there just for a second. Oh, the I do think that even though you didn't get to say that, I do think that awareness was raised in a huge way at this. I think I just heard over and over people saying, wow, I just didn't realize, I'm so glad you brought that to my attention. Just various things. I just kept hearing different ways of people saying, wow, that's I learned so much. So I think that's beautiful. So the comment for our audience is that, do you think our ICE audience had nonviolent communication training? We got, there was a resounding no as an answer. So interesting to bring that up. No, I don't think that's in their vocabulary. Lynn?
Yeah, well, first of all, Suzette, I want to tell you, someone who had to learn to do presentations for large groups online during COVID, when I was still, before I retired, and I had to learn it on the fly. I can tell you that you did a fantastic job.
You're so sweet.
For those of us who were online, because just managing breakout groups alone is,
Yeah, they were like, do you know how to do breakout rooms?
right.
I was like, really?
Yeah, all that.
I do, but
God. Well, you managed it very well. And you got the documents to us. No, we didn't get them when everyone else got them, but we got them. And that was not your fault. That didn't have anything to do with you. As you said, it just wasn't planned. It wasn't maybe they didn't know everything they needed in order to manage the online, or maybe they just didn't think about it. I don't know. But
The
you did a
person
wonderful
that
job.
complained
I was there all day, to the very end, and you did a wonderful job. I can tell
Thank
you,
you.
as someone, when I was presenting, I had to have an assistant just to do the online stuff, to put stuff up. So you did a
Thanks.
wonderful job managing that all
I
by
appreciate
yourself.
that. Thank
I
you.
had no
Can
idea.
you leave me a Google review?
You got it.
One point,
Yeah.
Lynn, I had
5
written,
stars.
And the
I
other
had
thing I wanted
texted,
to say is that this is what I've noticed about RMCC in general is that leadership, um, could stand to use, um, a session on communication, effective communication within an organization. I taught leadership classes and managed middle managers, for 15 years at ACC. And I'm talking to managers, to supervisors, to leaders. And it is a special skill set. And if you've never thought about it, then it's not something that you really know how to do. But what I've noticed, just as before I became more actively involved in the church, is that leaders and people tend to talk as though the audience or the congregation knows everything they know. So sometimes
Right.
when they talk about things, they are talking as though we all know what they're talking about, or we all know who they're talking about, or so something like that. So that is what I've just noticed, just as
Yeah, I had to ask, what is NVC? I don't even know what that
a congregate,
means, or I didn't know.
but that's a communication skill that I think leadership could probably benefit from. Um, and maybe when I finish all my cancer treatment, I'll volunteer to lead them in a session, to get to the bottom of communication, because it's notoriously poor. It really, really is. And this is just as a congregant. And now, of course, some of you know that I'm a deacon, and so I've noticed some of that same, lack of communication occurring. And I'm not putting anybody on blast. I'm just saying that in the groups in which I participated, sometimes the people who are talking talk as though I know everything that they know, and that's simply not true.
Yeah, that
So
is a
communication.
difficult skill to remember for all of us, and so I'm sure that your leadership would be quite welcome and quite valuable for a group like that. And Suzette, I echo the things that they said about how what a wonderful job you did. And in terms of the person who said that they were feeling marginalized just by the online issues, I don't think that's something you need to take personally at all. And I thought it was very good that they felt safe enough to bring that up. And, they didn't know the background that you didn't have anytime. And so please don't take that personally, but I'm glad that they were able to bring it up. And I think that was a function of the lack of preparedness and not of you. So please don't take that personally, but but comments like that, I hope that we can keep in the forefront for future to make sure that everything that we're doing supports the inclusiveness that we're aiming for. So thank you again for all that you did. Jared and
Great
Leo?
job. Great job.
I'm going to talk about inclusiveness again. So especially since we have Black History coming up next month. I heard that 2 years ago that the church had like a Black History event where no one else was able to attend or allowed to attend because it was just mainly only African American descents were able to attend that group, and there were a few people that felt like they were left out because they wanted to attend but weren't allowed to attend. And hopefully we can have something like that this year, and it being more inclusive to where I would love to attend.
Yeah, because like there's and there were people that like really did right within our BIPOC group, process a lot of lateral violence, like in that exact instance, right, where that we talk about Black and Brown solidarity, but are we really about Black and Brown solidarity, right? And like, and how that occurs, how that was appropriated by a person of color in a position of power, right? And it's like the scandal of it, scandalo. It's spicy, right? Because this is what happens, right? Whenever we like y'all were talking about how whiteness does this thing, right? Where it sort of causes us to unknowingly internalize some racism, right?
The system.
But it's also like it was the same for us, right? Like we don't even mean to harm one another, right? In our acts of seeking community with one another, we accidentally mimic the behaviors of the oppressors, right? We accidentally, start excluding in the same way that we've been excluded ourselves, and we start, giving our therapists so much fun ammunition to play with, so we can cry about it later with how we enact our parental trauma on our peers, community, and sisters and brothers. And so, like, lateral violence was really the main topic of what we spoke about within our own space. And like it's so it's so important that those conversations are had parallel from one another, right? Because
the common denominator in our church is always exclusion. We're going to form this group, but certain people aren't allowed to to join or whatever.
Or I'm going to pick my best friend or the same couple of people.
But it's and we need to do a better job of that.
Yeah, including people in the conversation. And why even close the door, right? Open the conversation up, have the meetings publicly, right? You create a fundraising group, right? And have the meetings publicly so that we can all contribute to the fundraising ideas.
And people buy into that.
And people buy in because it's their idea. Right? And it seems like it's just natural. But in white supremacy ideology, right, there's this idea that, more people move slower, right? And that's really demeaning and offensive to all the people invested in the growth of this church whose voices are being silenced. They do not move slower, right?
They move a lot faster.
They move a lot faster because
our proposal. That's one of the reasons why our proposal was what 3-4 pages long.
Yes,
because we gathered everyone's idea and we did our best to include everyone's idea on there.
And quickly too. Mm-hmm. So like it's these things we don't understand, but that we internalize harm and then we externalize it into the world really need to be examined within people of color communities, right? But that's a conversation for us, right? like we got to be mindful that that's not to be policed, right? By the white folks, right? Just like how y'all got your business, like we have to work on this ourselves.
Yeah, we need to change the language too, because it's just like any relationship, right? It's like people in leadership think that it's I hold the power, and or I make the decisions, and it should be we, right? It should be us. Just like in a relationship, it's not just your money. If you're married, right? It's not your money, it's our money. It's not your car, it's our car. It's not your problems, it's our problems. All right.
Wow.
Thank you. George?
Okay, well, hopefully I can remember everything I'm going to say. To go back a couple years, the person who was forming this particular event is, I think it was Soul Force. I might be wrong. I have to go back and look. But Soul Force was exclusively Black. Okay, so they wanted to keep it Black. And then the question arose of what happens if I have a white partner? Are they invited, or Hispanic, or they're not Black? And so that always confused me, but I worked closely with this person. And then on the day of that thing that they had, people were not happy, like Nelda and stuff. So they they said, okay, yes, we'll open the doors. So I don't know what went wrong. I don't know what Soul Force is all about. I don't know, but that did happen. But you guys bring up an interesting thing about committees. And I'm old school. I'll admit it, I'm old school. And we have committees to represent the people. And you're saying to open up those committee meetings to the people, or give them an opportunity to come and say stuff or be part of. So I'm going to take that back to the staff meeting, because I'm looking at different ways that we need to do stuff to include things and not always go to what George has always done. You know, you guys, I am totally open to all this, to seeing things a different way and to get people on board. And we want to hear from people. Now, some people would say, well, get on the committee. We need you for the committee. You know, we need you for the committee. So there's all different kinds of things, but I'm really trying to be open, and I make these remarks at the staff meetings. I think Carol and Suzette know that, whether people listen to me or not, you know, but I hear some good stuff coming out. So I hear you. Okay.
And it's okay. The most important thing is to actually voice our opinions, voice what the change that we want to see. Right.
Right. Because you give other people permission to do the same, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that, George. And I think that was the whole point of all of this retreat and everything, is to open hearts and minds, and you just gave a beautiful example of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lynn?
You know, I thought that probably the most benefit, first of all, as a presenter, it was a lot of information. It was an awful lot of information. 8 hours was not enough to adequately cover everything that they covered. But they did the best they could, you know, with the time that they had. And I think probably the most, well, for me, the thing was, we often don't think of ourselves as having any racism or any thoughts about racism. So I think the focus on self was really good, you know, and getting to that place that says, I'm bringing, it's not just white people that bring everything in, you know, but people of color bring everything in that we've lived with all our lives too. And we carry that in every meeting that we're in, people that we talk to, every conversation, that sort of thing. So focusing on, how do I really feel about this? What am I contributing to what might be a problem? How are my words, my tone of voice, my actions, all of those, and that's all part of communication, by the way. So I would love to teach a class in communication to our leaders. And then I think probably the last thing that is really important is RMCC needs to look at the groups and the committees that it has. They're segregating themselves. This group does this group does that, and this group is responsible for this. So within the church structure itself, you talk about a hierarchy, we're talking about segregated committees where this group of people is over here deciding this, and this group of people is over here talking about this, and this group of. So let's kind of unbind some of that, unwrap some of that, you know, as a church.
Nice language, unbinding. Okay, we've got two hands up and we've only got a few minutes, and I would like to use right before we pray, I'd like to just hear some impressions about how everybody's feeling, just a word or two. So let's try to keep you know, if you can. I don't want to, I always hate you know, censoring time on anyone, but we have to honor you know, our time commitment here. Jared and Leo?
Yes, just something really quick that I'm excited about. Miss Sherry, she is I believe she's the founder for Center for Healing Racism. She was at our board meeting yesterday. It was wonderful talking to her.
Hey, yes.
We drove her home. She invited us to her house. She gave us gumbo. But I'm excited. I'm excited for her to be here and to have something for March. So that's exciting.
Yes, because like you said, one day is not enough. And so like the events that she hosts
is
2 days, because she's been doing this for 30 years and she knows that you can't do that. That's crazy, right? Right. And so like
that's exciting that we're gonna have some follow-up.
Oh yeah.
And it's free.
And hopefully Suzette will be prepared.
Personally think this was well worth the money that we spent on it. So Krager?
All right. So as most of you know, I spent, you know, almost a decade on Wednesday nights with Reverend Vicki Gibbs. Paul and I used to go every single week, almost no matter what. And had I not been with her, like everything that Cassandra said about Vicki was absolutely true. Vicki cared probably about us more in her class than she did about her wife. But Vicki was teaching us how to do the work. Okay. So I'm just saying so Cassandra was saying, okay, we dropped the ball after Vicki passed away. And so I'm just saying right here and right now that I am open and willing to repurpose this God Talk space to the weekly, continuing anti-racism platform or agenda, so that there's always going to be a space where this can be talked about every single week. We can look at different books. We could look at how to be an anti-racist. We could look at, you know, we could look at materials from the Center for Healing. But we would need to get other people engaged, just, you know, besides this core group. If we were going to try to do that, we could try to do it. I'm just saying that I'm open to it because the effort has to keep moving forward.
Well, Krager, I personally don't think that we need to change, you know, how we're doing things in God Talk. I talked months ago about saying I wanted to dedicate this space. You know, I want collective liberation woven into everything that we do here in this space, just like I want it woven into everything we do in the church. So I don't want to change. I don't necessarily. I'm not that I'm not open to change, but I don't necessarily think we need to change the format and make it into, you know, I mean, it's still a discussion group, and we're here to not only teach each other, but to support each other and send our good vibes out into the virtual spaces and see what God has to do with it. I just think that I love that you brought up that you're willing to be intentional about that too, and I would imagine that everybody is pretty dedicated to that's here tonight. I hope so. So I'm just going to start in terms of just a word or two about how we're feeling, and I am just I'm excited and I'm loving y'all so much. I just feel so much love, just floating around in between us all, and that's really exciting. Want You want to just go around in the groups we came in? How are you feeling, Marco? Oh, sleepy?
Yeah, I give me.
Okay.
His favorite time of day.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
I just want to keep the communication going and open. I mean, it's tough, when we say we want to keep it open and going, we have to work on that. We have to work on that because it's all of us that need constant communication, constant openness to everything that's coming in and not shutting it out, but looking at it and saying, okay, what? And they said a lot about stories too, and I think stories are important. So
Gregor, you want to have a feeling?
This sounds like love to me.
Ah, beautiful. Suzette?
All ready for tomorrow night? I just love the reminder from Craig that this was, our ancestors speaking in the room with us. Because I've never seen myself as a white person. And my family, my Spanish speaking family, my family that spoke no English, that kind of thing. So even though I'm blonde haired with green eyes and fair skinned, I still feel my roots and my immigrant family that founded this country and worked, and the country was built on the backs of the immigrant people and the people that are here trying to be just to survive, the people that I don't understand everything. I could go off on a little soapbox tangent about, all the stuff that's happening right now with the immigration and the ICE and all of that stuff. But man, we need to take a step back. We need to take a step back. We definitely need our country to fall in step with this conversation. So this was a big conversation. It's a bigger conversation than this room. And I wish we could get more people to join us. I hope that I can do some more promotion, like give recordings of prior sessions and stuff. I just want to encourage people to come here because I think this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my entire life, and the people in this room matter more to me than anyone. Not that you matter more, but that you matter a lot because you are steadfast, you show up, you bring it, you are kind in your hearts and trying so hard to understand the hard stuff. So I just want to give it to Jared and Leo. You make me very emotional with your willingness to step up instead of leave. That to me is everything. Everything. Your willingness to step up and leave. You are the reason. And it's not like, hey, this is, your spotlight time, but you're the reason why we're here
Yes.
having these conversations.
Thank
And
you.
I can't believe that, that anyone would do or say anything to discount you. So
Thank you.
Right, Jared and Leo.
you're the reason. You're the reason. You're the reason.
And you also had like a lot of reasons to leave as well. So you are a big influence as well. So don't cut yourself
I
short.
blew up that survey, so just FYI.
Because me and my husband were talking about you in a good way, right? Because you could have left a long
million
time ago,
times. Yes.
but
I got a pretty tough skin, so you guys, I'm with you on standing my ground.
But as far as I'm feeling calm, I'm feeling hopeful, and I'm feeling safe. So
Okay, good.
uh,
That matters.
so calm. I'm feeling calm because I believe that doing this work in a calm, positive way is going to help us. And after this training, that's how I felt. I felt more of a calmness, and hopeful that this church will become a safe place for everyone.
Yes. For me, I feel somewhere in between, like I feel a sense of purposefulness, but also I can't help but note I feel due to the environment, somewhere in between hope and fear. Not for me, but from the people around us, right? You know, I can't help but note the chaos of the environment, right? There are still so many stories left untold, so many people whose voices have yet been unheard. So many people have such silly apprehension. There's this idea, for instance, that this started with us, right? I wonder where our vice moderator went, the old one, right? You know, like I wonder what happened with Vicky Gibbs, why she was so powerful in our church. What was she fighting? Why did she dedicate her ministry towards social justice, right? And what was the things that she was fighting against, right? So like these things, you know, like the chaos, you know, I can't wait to see how it becomes placed into order.
Okay, beautiful. Krager, can you pray us out, please?
Certainly. Holy Spirit, Holy Mother, Holy Father, we are just grateful for another opportunity to gather in this community specifically and have the kinds of discussions that we have. It's a safe space for all of us. And what's that? Maybe some of us feel some growing pains, no matter how old we are. Maybe it's a little uncomfortable, and maybe it's a blessing. So we thank you for everything, all this work that is being done. But one of the things that I want to thank you for is in terms of Leo and Jared, is it's not just that they're staying, but they are well thought out and well organized and well prepared with their statements and their, just the way they present themselves. It's not like they're just walking into a room and screaming and whatnot. So yes, we are grateful for them and the leadership that they are presenting to the community as a whole. So as we leave this space tonight and move back into our lives, as always, we just ask for a few moments each day when we can still ourselves and bring you back into our conversation that goes on in our head and realize that you're breathing the life and the love into us that we need to push forward out into our community. We ask all of this in the holy name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Krager.
No, Cracker.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Right.